there, Guy with the Camera 23 back again with a video, and today is going to be my rundown of my top 12 films of 2012. Now this year has been a very good year for films in my opinion. We've had big blockbusters like Dark Knight Rises and The Avengers, and we've had the smaller films like Argo, and this is my pick of the 12 best, so let's get right into it. At number 12 we have Valerian Sound Studio. Now there are a couple of films in this list that I'm almost guaranteed that you will not have at least seen or possibly even heard of, and this is one of them, Valerian Sound Studio. Now, Valerian Sound Studio tells the story of Gilderoy, played by Toby Jones, who moves to Italy to become a sound engineer on a Italian Gaio horror film. Now his job is to create the Foley effects which would be used for the film, which include the pulling out of the roots from radishes to simulate the pulling out of hair, and the decimation of watermelons for, well, you could probably guess. And then he starts working on the film, and after a while the line between reality and fantasy kind of starts to blur for him, and he starts to kind of lose his mind a bit. And the best thing about this film is its style. It's a very distinct style, it's very dark, very surreal. It has drawn a lot of comparisons with David Lynch's work, which I can definitely see. In fact, I thought that if David Lynch had directed it, it would look kind of more or less exactly the same. Great film. If you're a fan of kind of different kind of horror films, I think you might want to check it out. Now, at number 11 we have The Hunter, which is a film about a hunter played by Willem Dafoe, who is hired by a biomechanical engineering company to track down and kill the last remaining Tasmanian tiger in the Australian outback. Now this animal has been classed as extinct, but there have been kind of sightings of it, and he is tasked, well, with the task of finding this animal, and I think it's kind of take a sample of its blood to, I can't remember, it's been a while since I've seen it, but the best thing about this film is its cinematography. It's just beautiful to look at. Like, every shot is like a painting, it really is. And the best scenes in the film are kind of him on his own in the outback, trying to track this animal, and along the way becomes involved with the family that he is staying with, and a group of local protesters. Like I said, just great to look at. If you're a fan of kind of just nice films, it's kind of a slow burner, which is kind of good for me because I'm a fan of those types of films. So yeah, number 11 is The Hunter. Now number 10 we have Lawless, which stars Shia LaBeouf, Tom Hardy and Jason Clarke as a group of 3 brothers, and the Bondurant brothers, who run an illegal moonshine business in 1940s, 30s, I think it's in Virginia, I think it is. It's the latest film from John Hillcoat, who also directed The Proposition, and it is just a great kind of western film. Now, people were kind of not complaining, but kind of worried whether Shia LaBeouf could kind of play this type of character, but I think he did a commendable job. I really did. He's kind of classic, I guess, the runt of the letter of the brothers, but he's got a very good character arc, I think, in the film, and it becomes much stronger towards the end of the film. Tom Hardy's great, like he always is. Jason Clarke, which I have seen him in things, but I can't kind of think of what they are, but he's really good as well. But the best performance, in my opinion, is Guy Pearce as Charlie Rakes. Now this guy is just a slimy, horrible character. I mean, people refer to him as kind of a pantomime villain, which I don't agree with at all, kind of an over-the-top kind of, he's behind you kind of thing. But he's a really brutal guy. And the scene where he beats up Shia LaBeouf's character is just so brutal and horrible. It's just a horrible character. One of the best performances of the year, and the best villain of the year, in my opinion. Now, in at number 9 we have Killing Them Softly. That's set in the backdrop of the 2008 presidential campaign and the crash of the economy. and it tells the story of Jackie Cogan, played by Brad Pitt, who was a mafia enforcer who is tasked with finding out who robbed a mafia card game. He brings in another hitman to help him, played by James Gandolfini, and his character wasn't kind of the strongest character in the film. He's kind of a washed out alcoholic, so I didn't think he quite worked. I mean, James Gandolfini is always great, and oh man, Ray Liotta gets the absolute shit kicked out of him in this film. It's a really brutal film as well, which kind of put people off, or would put people off from seeing it, but it's a really good film. Again, basically, Ray Liotta's character Marky has been blamed on this card game because in the past he has actually been an inside man on another robbed card game, and he told a load of people, and for some stupid reason, and everybody kind of knew that it was him. So this new one is blamed on him because basically because everyone else thinks it's him, kind of Brad Pitt's character kind of makes it so everybody thinks it is, because they don't kind of want to kind of break the ranks up of the mafia, which I thought was it's kind of funny, but it is kind of funny, but it's not really supposed to be, which I thought was great. Now, and Ben Mendelsohn and Scoot McNairy, who you might have seen in Argo, play the two guys who are hired to rob the card game. And Ben Mendelsohn is one of those actors that in every film I see him in, I like him a lot more, from I think last year's Animal Kingdom to this year's Dark Knight Rises, and this as well. And I hope he's going to be in a lot more films in 2013. He's a great actor, Australian actor, and Scoot McNairy is great as well. I also love the style of it as well. It's kind of got a distinct... I love the style of it as well. There's great kind of slow motion, kind of car crash / death scene, which I thought was really well done. Now, next up at number 8 is Ill Manners, which is the directorial debut of Ben Drew, aka Plan B. And it's the set of kind of interlinking stories in, I think it's West London. One of the stories is about Jake, who is kind of looks up to the drug dealers on the estate, and is taken under the wing of the main drug dealer, who is a bit of a prick. And basically he kind of looks up to him, kind of takes him to parties, kind of gives him drugs and stuff, and all kind of culminates in kind of a shooting that goes wrong. And the story is of Aaron, played by Riz Ahmed, who you may have seen in Four Lions, and basically he's kind of the main character throughout the film. He kind of comes into different people's stories, and the kind of the loosest way I could kind of class it as is kind of, I really don't want to say this, kind of a British Pulp Fiction, kind of, I'm not sure it is, because it doesn't kind of, it kind of follows a linear timeline, but kind of characters interlink between the different stories, which I thought is pretty good. And also it's set to music, kind of each story has its own song, and they also bought, the album Ill Manners is actually kind of the soundtrack to the film. And I thought it was a nice touch as well. You don't usually get that. You don't get that very often, and it is kind of quite hard to watch in some parts, which I think kind of, if people see them, if they're not kind of ready for it, they're going to kind of turn off. Which is, but I didn't, because I kind of look. It's very dark, very gritty, and it's just got this style that only kind of British films could have. And I think it's safe to say that British films are my favourite types of films. And I say maybe because I live in Britain, so kind of, and it just feels more real to me, I guess. So yeah, number 8 we have Ill Manners. Then in number 7 we have The Master, which is the newest film from Paul Thomas Anderson, since 2007's There Will Be Blood, and it tells the story of Freddie Quell, played amazingly by Joaquin Phoenix. He was a bit of a drifter. He's recently been discharged from the Navy, and he starts a string of unsuccessful jobs, and then becomes a stowaway on a ship And on this ship also is a Lancaster Dodd, who again is played brilliantly by Philip Seymour Hoffman, and he's kind of the leader or pastor of this this movement called the Cause. And it's kind of had a lot of comparisons between this and Scientology, which I can understand, but I'm not sure if Paul Thomas Anderson kind of like consciously did that. Again, I don't know. It's got very distinct visual style, which I thought was really good. It's kind of that 40s kind of. It's kind of it's kind of dreamlike in some aspects, really. Great soundtrack as well. Again, if Joaquin Phoenix does not at least get nominated for an Oscar, there is no justice whatsoever. But I'm pretty sure this is my favourite performance and the best performance of the year, in my opinion. Now, there's a scene in this film where Lancaster Dodd, he kind of processes Freddie. And basically, what he does, he sits him kind of face to face, and he tells him that he's going to ask him question after question after question about his life, and he has to answer all the questions without blinking. Which I'm not sure why they do that, but they do. And basically, just an amazing scene, probably my favourite scene of a film this year. And I was actually doing it myself. I was seeing if I could get through the scene without blinking, and that doesn't happen often for a film for me. I kind of actually feel like I'm taking part in the film for some strange reason. That's how kind of enthralled by the story I was. I actually kind of tried to do what they wanted to do in the film, which I thought was great. I love Paul Thomas Anderson because he's always in control of the camera. He kind of knows when to show things and when not to. And there's lots of lingering shots which I really like. He kind of has the camera in one shot and kind of maybe pans just a little bit, which I think is great. Now here we get to the second half of my countdown, and in at number 6 is ParaNorman. The ParaNorman tells the story of, well, Norman, who is a kid who has a gift that he can talk to ghosts. Basically, it's near Halloween, and he starts having these visions of witches and zombies, and he finds out from his kind of estranged uncle that there has been a curse on the town by a witch. And basically, he's kind of the only one who can stop this witch's curse. Now, this film is definitely the best animated film of the year. The amount of hours and the amount of dedication that the makers of the film must have had is just absolutely astounding. It's kind of stop motion with, I think, a little bit of CG kind of mixed in there. It's just a fun movie. Now, this was a film that was marketed for kids. I think there was a lot for adults to get as well. I mean, animated films do that. I think kind of this film did it a lot better. You kind of have fun trying to pick out all the references to horror films that they kind of sprinkle in there. There is a kind of a twist in this film that kind of happens kind of the beginning of the third act, which kind of changes the whole film to kind of a darker tone, which I really like. It has just the right balance between kind of the humour and the darkness of it, which I thought was really good. Another music in this very kind of ethereal and dreamlike, and especially near the end. It's the best animated film of the year. Absolutely loved it. Went to see it twice, once in 3D and once in 2D. Like I said, it gets the balance just right between kind of the lightness and the darkness, which I thought was amazing. Now, in at number 5 we have 7 Psychopaths. Now, it's a newest film from Martin McDonagh, who directed In Bruges, and it reunites him with In Bruges actor Colin Farrell, as he plays a screenwriter who is writing a script about a film called 7 Psychopaths, but he's suffering from writer's block. He can't kind of work out who these characters are, and his friends with Sam Rockwell, who is one of the best things about this film. Now, this film really surprised me. Now, I've seen trailers and I kind of laughed at the trailers, but I had no idea I'd laugh this much at a film this year. Funniest film of the year, bar none. There is a scene in this that is set in a graveyard that is the funniest scene in a film this year. I was literally falling off my chair laughing. It was so funny. It makes me laugh thinking about it even now. And people were actually, in the cinema, people were actually staring at me because I was laughing so hard. That's never happened to me in a film, ever. So the script is just so funny. It's just effortlessly funny. It doesn't get nominated for Best Screenplay. In the award ceremony, there really is no justice. And Sam Rockwell and Christopher Walken play two friends who have this kind of racket where they kidnap rich people's dogs and return them to them for the reward money. And things kind of take a wrong turn when they take the beloved Shih Tzu of a psychopathic gangster, played again great by Woody Harrelson. And that's the other thing about this film. There is no weak link in this cast. I mean, there are kind of a couple of characters that aren't in it that much that you would, that are on the poster, so they thought they kind of have a bigger part in the film. But that's the only really gripe I have about this film. It's just you're laughing at something like every 2 seconds. And again, I get back to the script. It's just brilliantly funny, really clever as well. Kind of things happen in the film, and then they kind of tie into events that happened before, which I thought was really good. So the biggest surprise film of the year for me. I was just laughing all the way through. There's great kind of character by Tom Waits as well. So not going to give away what he does, because it kind of gives away a plot point in the film. So if you just want a good laugh, but a different kind of... Basically, if you want a good laugh, but a different kind of laugh, see this film. It is hilarious. Then at number 4 is another film that surprised me. Again, I've seen trailers for it, and obviously that on purpose they kind of portray it as a different kind of film. And it's single-handedly kind of revitalised the horror genre and kind of pokes fun at the kind of the cliches of the horror genre, and that is The Cabin in the Woods. So I'm not really going to kind of go through the plot, because you can't really say much without giving too much away anyway. Really funny, like I said, it kind of pokes fun at kind of the cliches in the horror genre. I mean, it kind of, the beginning kind of plays out as just kind of your run of the mill kind of kids get chased and kids get killed kind of movie, then just kind of turns it on its head. And the last third of this film is just amazingly well done. It's like basically like a horror fan's wet dream. There's monsters coming all over the place. The scene in this that gave me goosebumps, and I'm not gonna give it away, but all I'll say is elevators. Elevators. Again, if you haven't seen this film, well, A, why not, and B, don't kind of go into it think it's going to be kind of a run-of-the-mill horror film, but also don't go into it kind of knowing anything about it, because you'll kind of enjoy it a lot more. Now, the only kind of regret I had was the fact that because I thought it was kind of just a run-of-the-mill horror film, I actually looked the synopsis up on Wikipedia, which was kind of a mistake, because I kind of knew what was going to happen, but what happened was so amazing that it kind of didn't spoil it for me kind of at all. There's a number of scenes in this that is just hilariously funny, but again, I'm not going to kind of give stuff away just in case you haven't seen it, although I think most people have seen it by now. But if you haven't seen it, see this film. You will enjoy it, I guarantee it. Now, before we get into my top 3, I'll give you my honourable mentions. This is films that I have seen, but just didn't quite make it into my top 12. I thought these 12 films kind of deserve the recognition a bit more. Number 1 is Argo, the Ben Affleck directed film. Again, amazingly well done, greatly directed, greatly acted. Just a great film. Now, you're going to laugh at me when I say this, but I really enjoyed Silent Hill Revelations. I know what you're going to say. You're going to say shit, you're going to say the acting's shit, but I enjoyed it. Just the style of it, I just loved. And also in that kind of area, there's also Dread, which I really liked. I loved the fact that it kind of took place just kind of in one kind of tower block, which I thought was great. Also, there's films that I will mention but I haven't actually seen, like The Avengers. I haven't seen that, so I can't have it in my top 12. I haven't seen Looper. I haven't seen Amazing Spider-Man. But the biggest honourable mention has to go to The Dark Knight Rises. That's right, The Dark Knight Rises is not in my countdown. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was a little bit underwhelmed, a little bit disappointed, but at the same time, I just enjoyed it. It's just an enjoyable film, a great ending to a great trilogy. Now, at number 3 is the latest book adaptation, which is a prequel to one of the greatest motion picture trilogies ever made. It brought with it a certain sense of controversy when it was announced that it would be shown in a new 48 frames per second film format. The film is, if you haven't guessed it yet, The Hobbit. Now, I loved every second of this film. It did not feel dragged out to me. Well, maybe kind of a little bit, like a tiny bit towards the middle when they get to Rivendell, but still. But it did not seem like just under 3 hours, which is what the film actually was. I say I enjoyed every second of it. So numerous times throughout the film, just my jaw dropped to the floor, how great it all looked. The action set pieces in this are just absolutely amazing. Now, I did see this film in 48 frames per second, and there's been a lot of it's divided a lot. I think this film has kind of divided people more than any other film this year. But the 48 frames per second didn't bother me at all. I mean, sure, I don't even think it is kind of a physical thing that your eyes have to get used to it, but it is kind of because you haven't seen it before. I think that's the main thing. You haven't seen it before, so you have to kind of get used to seeing it. Like I say, it's not like a physical thing that your eyes have to get used to it. Well, I don't think. It's just because you haven't seen it before, so it's just new to you. It's like some people love it, some people hate it. I mean, the people who hate it kind of can like pick out all the I mean, I do agree that there are kind of certain plot holes, and also people saying that he kind of puts too much in. Oh, I can't actually kind of comment on that because I haven't actually read the book. This film actually makes me want to read the book. I've actually been looking around to see if I can get it for a decent price, which I really want to read it. I've never read The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings. I've seen the Lord of the Rings trilogy and I thoroughly enjoyed it, although I think I have to revisit those again. Again, I thoroughly enjoyed every second of it. I was just in awe at some of the action in this film. It's just amazing. Like I say, if you love it, brilliant. If you hate it, fair enough. But I loved it. In number 2 comes the film that shot Elizabeth Olsen into stardom. It was the second film she acted in, but the first film that was released in the UK, and that is Marcy May Marlene. Basically, the film tells a story of Martha, who's recently run away from a cult led by Patrick, played brilliantly by John Hawkes, and it kind of picks up the film with her escaping from the cult, and she calls her sister to come and pick her up. And throughout the film, she's kind of paranoid that the people from the cult are coming after her. She kind of has visions. She kind of starts to kind of lose her sensibilities. And this film has a kind of distinct kind of indie feel to it. Kind of a lot of kind of backward locations. I'm not sure where it was filmed, but cinematography is great. I mean, Elizabeth Olsen's performance is really good. She knows kind of when to she knows what to show. She knows when it needs to be shown, what to show, and when it doesn't need to be shown, kind of how to hold back, which I thought was really good. The other thing about the style of this film, it's told in a kind of very non-linear style, which I thought was kind of one of the best things about the film. I think that if it was told in a linear structure, she kind of goes to the cult and then kind of escapes from the cult, I think it wouldn't have worked as well. Just a great film. If you're a fan of kind of like the indie kind of backward films, you're really going to enjoy this. Now the ending. When ambiguous endings are done well, they're very effective, and I think this one is done well, and therefore it is effective. I think with those kind of endings, if you get kind of enough information from the film, they do work, and this one does work. So yeah, that's number 2, which is Marcy May Marlene. Now before I get to number 1, I'll do a countdown from 12 till 2. Number 12, we had Valerian Sound Studio. Number 11, we had The Hunter. Number 10, we had Lawless. Number 9, we had Killing Them Softly. Number 8, we had Ill Manners. Number 7, we had The Master. Number 6, we had ParaNorman. Number 5, we had 7 Psychopaths. Number 4, we had The Cabin in the Woods. Number 3, we had The Hobbit. Number 2, we had Marcy May Marlene. And number 1 in my top 12 films of 2012 comes a film that has kind of affected me more than any other film in this countdown, and possibly any film ever. It's heartbreakingly sad, it's funny, and I laughed and I cried in equal measure. I'm not ashamed to admit that either. It's another film that I'm pretty sure you won't have seen or possibly even heard of, and I've got kind of a limited release here in the UK, and it comes out on DVD in America and over here on the same date, I believe, which is January the 21st, I think. Like I said, I didn't get a wide release, but me personally, I saw it 7 times in the cinema, including twice in one day, which I've never done before, and I'm pretty sure I never will do again. So I think the only other country that released this theatrically was Korea. And then number 1 in my top 12 films of 2012 is... Now He's Good tells the story of Tessa, played by Dakota Fanning, who is a 19-year-old suffering with the end stages of leukemia. Basically, she's decided not to carry on with the treatment because it kind of makes her feel really bad. So she just kind of resigned herself to the fact that she'll die, basically. And she compiles kind of a bucket list on the suggestion of her friend, played by Kaya Scodelario, of making a bucket list of things she wants to do before she dies, which includes not very nice things like break the law, and nice things like fall in love, which she does when she meets Adam, a next door neighbour played by Warhorse's Jeremy Irvine. And the rest of the film kind of deals with her struggle of knowing what's going to happen and other people in her family as well. Now, Paddy Considine, who is my favourite actor of all time, plays her father. Again, when people reviewed this film, that's the thing that most people mentioned, was the fact that he, well, in their opinion, was the best part of the film. And he was amazingly brilliant, as he always is, but it's very much kind of an ensemble piece. And I think Dakota Fanning, because it was, again, a bit of, not a controversy, but kind of a thing, the fact that this American girl was playing someone British, and I think she did a commendable job. I mean, some people have also kind of commented on her accent, which I thought was good. Olivia Williams plays her mother. Now, her father is kind of this kind of cancer obsessive. He's always kind of trying to find cures for her, while the mother is kind of the absent parent, the parent that's split up. Now, she says in the film, the father he said he knows it's going to happen, but he can't stop hoping that it won't. Like I said, it's one of those films. Like I said, I saw it 7 times in the cinema, that I kind of was thinking about for weeks afterwards, looking on message boards, looking on Tumblr, looking on Facebook, just to hear other people's opinions on the film. And people do have kind of split opinions. Some people say that it kind of works too hard to be sentimental, which I don't think is true at all. Now, the score of this film is absolutely amazing. My favourite score of the year. I did buy the soundtrack on Amazon. And it's one of those kind of soundtracks that when you listen, well, for me at least, when you listen to it, it immediately takes you back to the film. So I laughed, I cried, God, I cried like a little baby. So basically, take my man card, rip it up into little bits, throw it up in the air, I don't care. So there we have it, my top 12 films of 2012. Now, 2012 has been a great year for film, and I hope that if 2013 is half as good as this year, it's going to be an absolute belter. Got a lot of things to look forward to. We've got Lincoln, we've got Django Unchained, we've got the next instalment of The Hobbit. So I think that's it. So please rate, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.